This will be the greatest technology humanity has yet developed. I think people should be happy that we're a little bit scared of this. A little bit, yeah,
You
of course.
personally?
I think if I said I were not, you should either not trust me or be very unhappy I'm in this job. There's like a set of very bad outcomes.
Why on earth did you create this technology?
I think people really have fun with it, and they see the possibility, and they see the ways this can help them, this can inspire them, this can help people create, help people learn, help people do all of these different tasks. And it is a technology that rewards experimentation and use in creative ways. So I think people are just having a good time with it and finding real value.
All of these capabilities could wipe out millions of jobs. If a machine can reason, then what do you need a human for?
I think we as a society are confused about whether we want to work more or work less. And certainly about whether most people like their jobs and get value out of their jobs or not. Some people do. I love my job. I suspect you do too. If we can move more of the world to better jobs and work to something that can be a broader concept, not something you have to do to be able to eat, but something you do as a creative expression and a way to find fulfillment and happiness, whatever else. Even if those jobs look extremely different from the jobs of today, I think that's great. I'm not nervous about it at all. I think people work for lots of reasons besides money. And I think we are going to find incredible new jobs, and society as a whole and people's individuals are going to get much, much richer. You know, I think the world should eliminate poverty if able to do so. I think it's a great thing to do as a small part of the bucket of solutions.
This will be the greatest technology humanity has yet developed. We've got to be cautious here. And also, I think it doesn't work to do all this in a lab. You've got to get these products out into the world and make contact with reality, make our mistakes while the stakes are low. But all of that said, I think there's like a set of very bad outcomes. One thing I'm particularly worried about is that these models could be used for large-scale disinformation. I am worried that these systems, now that they're getting better at writing computer code, could be used for offensive cyber attacks. And we're trying to talk about this. I think society needs time to adapt.
And how confident are you that what you've built won't lead to those outcomes?
Well, we'll adapt it. Putting these systems out now, while the stakes are fairly low, learning as much as we can, and feeding that into the future systems we create. That tight feedback loop that we run, I think, is how we avoid the more dangerous scenarios.
Is this a Google killer?
No.
Will people say
No.
I'm going to ChatGPT it instead of Google it in
No.
the future?
I think if you're thinking about this as search, it's sort of the wrong framework. I have no doubt that there will be some things that people used to do on Google that they do in ChatGPT, but I think it's a fundamentally different kind of product. We can all have an incredible educator in our pocket that's customized for us, that helps us learn, that helps us do what we want. We can have medical advice for everybody that is beyond what we can get today. We can have creative tools that help us figure out the new problems we're going to solve, wonderful new things to co-create with this technology, and we can have a much higher quality of life, standard of living. As you point out, there's a huge potential downside. People need time to update, to react, to get used to this technology, to understand where the downsides are and what the mitigations can be. If we just developed this in secret in our little lab here and didn't have contact with reality and made GPT-7 and then dropped that on the world all at once, that, I think, is a situation with a lot more downside.
Is there a kill switch? A way to shut the whole thing down?
Yes. What really happens is, like, any engineer can just say, like, we're going to disable this for now, or we're going to deploy this new version of the model.
A human?
Yeah.
The model itself, can it take the place of that human? Could it become more powerful than that human?
So in the sci-fi movies, yes. In our world, in the way we're doing things, this model is, it's sitting on a server. It waits until someone gives it an input.
The humans who are in control of the machine right now also have a huge amount of power.
We do worry a lot about authoritarian governments developing this. A lot of stuff, it turns out. One of the things that we are trying to push the technology trajectory towards, and also the way we build these products, is to be a tool for humans, an amplifier of humans. And if you look at the way people use ChatGPT, there's a pretty common arc where people hear about it the first time, they're a little bit dubious, and then someone tells them about something, and then they're a little bit afraid. And then they use it. I see how this can help me. I see how this is a tool that helps me do my job better.
Whoever wins this artificial intelligence race is essentially the controller of humankind. Do you agree with that?
So that was a chilling statement for sure. What I hope instead is that we successively develop more and more powerful systems that we can all use in different ways that get integrated into our daily lives, into the economy, and become an amplifier of human will. I think the right way to think of the models that we create is a reasoning engine, not a fact database. They can also act as a fact database, but that's not really what's special about them. What we're training these models to do is something closer to what we want them to do, is something closer to the ability to reason, not to memorize. Education is going to have to change, but it's happened many other times with technology. When we got the calculator, the way we taught math and what we tested students on, that totally changed. The promise of this technology, one of the ones that I'm most excited about, is the ability to provide individual learning, great individual learning for each student. You're already seeing students using ChatGPT for this in a very primitive way to great success. I think it will revolutionize education, and I think that kids that are starting the education process today, by the time they graduate from high school, are going to be like smarter and more capable than we can imagine. It's a different thing, but it is a new way to supplement learning for sure. A thing that I do worry about is we're not going to be the only creator of this technology. There will be other people who don't put some of the safety limits that we put on it. Society, I think, has a limited amount of time to figure out how to react to that, how to regulate that, how to handle it.
And how do you decide here at OpenAI what goes in, what shouldn't?
We have policy teams, we have safety teams, we talk a lot to other groups in the rest of the world. We finished GPT, I think like 7 months ago, something like that. And since then, we have been internally, externally, talking to people, trying to make these decisions, working with red teamers, talking to various policy and safety experts, getting audits of the system to try to address these issues and put something out that we think is safe and good.
And who should be defining those guardrails for society?
Society should.
Society as a whole? How are we going to do that?
So I can paint like a vision that I find compelling. This will be one way of many that it could go. If you had representatives from major world governments, trusted international institutions come together and write a governing document. Here is what the system should do. Here's what the system shouldn't do. Here's very dangerous things that the system should never touch, even in a mode where it's creatively exploring.
You've said AI will likely eliminate millions of jobs, create machines that are smarter than all of humanity combined, and other consequences so terrible we can't even imagine what they could be. Many people are going to ask, why on earth did you create this technology? Why, Sam? To start using when we don't know where this is heading.
You mean like why develop AI at all? I think it can do the opposite of all of those things too. Properly done, it is going to eliminate a lot of current jobs, that's true. We can make much better ones. So talking about the downsides, acknowledging the downsides, trying to avoid those while we push in the direction of the upsides, I think that's important. And again, very early preview. Like, would you push a button to stop this if it meant we are no longer able to cure all diseases? Would you push a button to stop this if it meant we couldn't educate every child in the world super well?
Would you push a button to stop this if it meant there was a 5% chance it would be the end of the world?
I would push a button to slow it down. And in fact, I think we will need to figure out ways to slow down this technology over time. It's so tempting to anthropomorphize ChatGPT, but I think it's important to talk about what it's not as much as what it is. There's a number of new organizations starting, and I expect relatively soon there will be new governmental departments or commissions or groups starting.
Is the government prepared for this?
They are beginning to really pay attention, which I think is great. And I think this is another reason that's important to put these technologies out into the world. We really need the government's attention. We really need thoughtful policy here, and that takes a while to do. The main thing I would like to see the government do today is really come up to speed quickly on understanding what's happening, get insight into the top efforts, where our capabilities are, what we're doing, And I think that could start right now,
And do you think they get it?
more and more every day.